Hey everyone, what's happening? If you're new to the channel, please take a second to hit the subscribe button and enjoy the video. Hey everyone, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel. If you happen to be new here, please consider subscribing. Well, today we're going to do the next mod here on the Jeep. I found a nice set of Nitto takeoff tires, and we're getting ready to load them up here now and head over to get them installed. So this video is going to be will 285 70 17s fit on a stock Wrangler JKU Unlimited Sport with no lift and no wheel spacers. This Jeep has 255 75 17s on it right now, which are about toast. I'll give you a couple views here of the stock tires and how they sit within the fenders and wheel wells. And then a little later we'll compare it once we have the new tires on. Here are the tires we're going to be putting on. They're Nitto Exo Grapplers, all-terrain mud trains. They're an LT tire, so they are 10 ply. Been nice to stay a little less than that, but in this size, you're pretty much limited with 4 ply or 10, no 6 or 8s. There are a few, but very expensive, and this is what I found as takeoffs. They have really good tread. And they should be a huge improvement over those lousy Goodyear Wranglers that come stock. So I'm going to get these loaded up in the Jeep. And head over to the tire shop. Alright guys. Tires are loaded. They fit in there perfect. So we're going to be off to the tire shop. And I'll check back in with you then. Alright guys, so here we are back from the tire shop. What a huge difference going from 255s to 285s makes in the appearance. As well as the Jeep does sit higher as well. So like I said earlier, this is a completely stock JKU Sport. No lift and no wheel spacers. And I was out doing a little testing after the install, and so far the only place I've found that rubs even with flexing is on the front sway bar, and it is only at full lock, and it's very, very minor. You can see right there on the driver's side the little wear there. Nothing at all even comes close on the splash pan. A lot of people were saying they either had to take them off or notch them, but so far in any of the testing I did, it's 1.5 inches away at the closest, even at full lock. So far nowhere close on that, and it doesn't rub anywhere else at full lock or with the limited amount of flexing that I've done. I'm sure if you disconnected the sway bars, you may find some other places that may rub, but so far on the sway bar here is the only places, and the driver's side does rub more than the passenger side. The passenger side just barely rubs that, even at full lock. But that's with no spacers. So if I were to get a set of 1-inch spacers, I think that would totally eliminate the problem altogether. I think 1.5 inches would poke the tires out probably a little bit too much, and the further you bring the tire out, the quicker you are to hit your fenders. So you want to keep the tires tucked in as much as possible if you're going to flex, because the further out you come, you get into rubbing this flat piece instead of being behind it. So I may end up getting a set of 1-inch spacers and seeing how that works, but for now I don't think I'm going to do anything. It doesn't rub near enough to matter or be dangerous, so we're just gonna run with this for a little while. I'm gonna do a little more flexing with it off-road and go from there. If we do need to get spacers, I'll definitely get them, but here in PA, cops are super strict with the tire sticking pass, so I definitely don't want that. And like I said, the further you bring them out, the quicker you are to rub the outer lips of your fenders when you flex. But the stance is really nice. It brought the tires out way more than they were earlier. If you compare now to the previous clip before I went to the tire shop, they're probably set in, oh, I don't know, an inch, maybe 1.5 inches at the very top of the fender where it bulges out some, but greatly improved the overall stance of the Jeep. And again, these are 285 7017, so they're pretty much a 33 by 1150. If you were running 1250s, you would definitely need aftermarket wheels or spacers, and even then, with stock height, you're probably gonna run into rubbing your fenders real quick. So if you stay with a Nair 1150 tire, you're going to be pretty good on a stock suspension. Like I said, the only thing, depending on how much you flex or off-road your Jeep, if you're staying strictly on road, this setup would be perfect. No spacers, no nothing. But if you do go off-road, like I said, I need to do a little more testing to be certain, but you're probably going to need inch, 1.25 inches, or 1.5 inch spacers, which I think 1.5 inches on this setup would probably be a little too wide. I think you're going to want to stay with 1 inch. But stay tuned to the channel for updates. If we run into any problems that we definitely need to get a pair of spacers, you'll see it here, and then you'll see the results of the install of those. And as far as the rear sway bar, you have plenty of clearance on both sides. I think some of the forums and posts I've seen said that would get pretty close with the stock back spacing, but as you can see here, you got all but 2 fingers of width in between there. So if you run this set of spacers, you'd even have more than that. And then here's the passenger side. Same thing. Plenty of clearance. So it is totally possible to run 285 70 17s on a completely stock suspension JKU with just minor rubbing on the front sway bar, which is the commonplace for any rubbing anyways. Like I said, it's not bad at all. It's just very minor at full lock. And if you missed the last mod, that was the aluminum fuel door here. So be sure to check out that video if you missed it. It's a quick and easy install and does so much for the appearance of the Jeep. The stock plastic surrounds, they fade over time and it just looks so unfinished, where you can grab these fuel doors real cheap on eBay. And very simple install and really dresses it up. But overall, I'm loving these tires. Way more tread, much better appearance, and with it being the end of December here, I'm sure it won't be long before we have some snow here in PA, and I'll get to try them out. And them stock Goodyear Wranglers were garbage. They were about helpless on wet roads. You take a curve too fast and the tail end would just kick right out on you. And for 10 plies, these don't ride terrible. Like I said, I just got them less than an hour ago, so I'll definitely have to do a little more testing on that as well. But it's definitely a little stiffer than the stock floor ply, but that's good too. For off-roading, you don't have to worry about punching them or having a blowout from rocks near as fast. So I got to check the air pressures here in these yet. I don't know what the tire shop set them for, but I run 30 psi in this Jeep. Be nice to run a little bit less than that now, especially with these 10 plies, but the way they have the tire pressure monitoring system set up, I think it trips on at 28, so anything less than 30 and you're right there constantly dealing with that light tripping on depending on the temperature and stuff like that change. So I'm gonna set these all at 30 and stay tuned. Like I said, I'm sure I'll have some follow-up videos on how they handle, how they wear, how they ride, and if we end up needing to go with spacers. But again, the overall stance of the Jeep and appearance is drastic from them measly stock tires. Alright guys, well thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them down below. Again, if you're new to this channel, please hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe to keep these videos coming. You can also follow me on Facebook. The link is in the description below.